I'm Steve with Superior Float Tanks, and today we're going to go over how to change the filter and a couple other things you might need to know. So the first thing you want to do whenever you're changing your filter is cut your pump override switch off. Now there's only two switches on this white box. The front one is the pump override switch, which is typically higher, and then the green one in the back is your on and off switch, your power switch. So no need to touch the power switch. We're going to cut off the pump override switch. We do not want the filter, the pump to cut on when we're changing the filter and spill water everywhere. So I'm about to change the filter, and I'm also going to change some O-rings on this. When you go to change your filter, sometimes it's very difficult to get the lid off. I like to get real close to it and put my hands in opposite directions and just give it a nice little squeeze coming from the chest here. Be careful not to hit your knuckles on anything around it. Once you get it off, it just loosens right up. So this particular filter has one of our newer O-rings on it, which we tried out, which we no longer use. This is a round, thicker O-ring. If you have this O-ring, you need to get rid of it and get the normal O-rings. The normal O-ring is a 2 O-ring system. We only used this this new O-ring for a couple months, and we found that it doesn't work very good. So we went back to the, which most of you have, is the double O-ring, which we're shipping with our new units. So anytime you change your filter, you want to take a rag and basically clean around here. Take your petroleum jelly or any type of Vaseline. We typically just use the little packages that we give to the floaters to do their cuts. So you just want to kind of lubricate that. And with this one here, most of you will already have this one in there, but there's a flat edge and then there's kind of like a curved octagon edge. The flat edge just kind of sits in that groove just like that. This O-ring is the one that comes with your filter, and it works, but we like to add the second O-ring just to make it a little more stronger. So just a little bit of petroleum jelly goes a long way. So I'm just lubing this one up here, as you can see. Now I recommend, if these are real salty, to wash them off. This one will sit right on top. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and change the filter before we put it back together. So this is a clean filter right here. You want to have a bucket or something to put your old filter in. So this filter is not really that dirty, but when you pull it out, you want to pull it out with your basket. Do not throw the basket away, or else you will not be able to put the new filter in there. We've had that happen. So the dirtier it is, the longer it will take for the water to drain out. This one's almost done, but that's why you have your bucket. You want to make the least amount of mess possible. So I'm just putting it in here. Every drop you make will create a little salt spot. So we want to try to contain that in the bucket. I typically take the new one and put it on my arm and just kind of stick it all the way down in there. You want to make sure that your plastic is basically flush with the basket. When you stick it in there, it's going to float like this. Now if I just put the lid on, that's wrong. You want to push this down, and once it goes down, it typically stays, but you're going to push that down past your outlet hole here. So if this basket is higher than that hole, your water and the dirt and all that will bypass your filter. So make sure that's all the way down. So once you have that, you're ready to put the lid back on. So I've just placed this top O-ring right on there. And this is the 2 O-ring system, which we currently use. So once it's lubricated, we'll just gently put the lid back on, and we will spin it until it basically gets snug. Once it gets snug, then we're just going to give it a little bit of a oomph, just like that. Typically when we make these, we try to line up the gauge facing forward. It's not always the case. Once you do it a couple times, you'll get kind of an idea where it lines up. So once you're done, you want to cut your pump override switch back on. In some cases, it'll automatically cut on if the water temperatures drop during the time you're doing this. If it does not cut on, we will want to go ahead and cut it on with the software. So I just cut it on, and it didn't cut on, so give me a minute. We'll go ahead and force it on with the filter cleaning. So So I'm clicking on Start Filtration. All right, part 2 of changing the filter. So we just changed the filter and we put the lid back on. We lubricated the O-rings, 2 of them, one in the groove and one on top. We gently put the lid on, turned it till it was snug, and then gave it a little oomph to it. So once you get the lid back on, you go ahead and cut your filter on. So the filter's on, I mean the pump override switch is on, but nothing's happening, probably because we're in temperature. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut that back off because we do not want this coming on when we're not here. So I'm gonna go cut it on. Most of you are gonna have to leave the room to do this. That's why we cut the pump override switch off. So when I hit start filtration mode, it forces the pump to come on to do a cleaning. So when I cut it on, it might get a little loud, so I might cut it off to simulate it. But when we cut it on, it starts filtering. So what we're doing now is, remember, we cleaned it very well before we started, so we got a really good idea if there's a leak. So we just want to kind of put your dry hand on here and see if there's any leaks to it or any dampness. If there is a small leak, you can just give it a little more tightness to it to alleviate that leak. If it's just spewing out water, you want to cut off your filter at your pump, take the lid off, clean it up again, reseat it, re-lubricate it, and put it back on. You probably didn't have your top O-ring on if it's a large leak. Now remember, if it's too loose or too tight, it's prone to leak. There's that little sweet area in there which is getting it snug and giving it a little bit tightness. So I don't see any leaks on here, which is good. So what I would do now is I proceed to change my other filters or do something else for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then I would come back and just give it one more overall look at before I put the cover on or leave it until the next filter change. And if you don't see anything, you should be good to go. This is also the best time to clean your filtration unit in case you spilt any water from changing your filter. That's all.